Okay, so here I am, it's 8:10, and now the entities are starting to light up because it's dusk, and you can see what they look like both when they're spherical and when they start making rods, because those things that are hanging there are rods. They get longer and longer as the night approaches. So the way they make them is just attach each other in a string formation and create a long string of entities, and that's a rod. And you could really see them moving right now because the activity level goes up by a whole lot when it's dusk. It's also high before dawn, or just as dawn is approaching. So just check that out, the way they're rotating and moving counterclockwise. And you can see some black, some green orbs, some transparent orbs, and you can see the lit up orbs, and they're glowing bright white. So you can see the pace of the movement, and this movement is counterclockwise. And what this movement does is it's creating electromagnetic energy and a charge, and this charge is transferred into a glow. And that glow shows that it's a very active cluster of individual entity clusters, because each one of those orbs is a cluster itself. These entities are not individuals, they are a cluster and a conglomeration of smaller clusters, and they're all in essence clusters, but they can bond and make a larger cluster, and then it becomes an entity that we can actually see with our eyes when it's large enough. So there's no limit to size. They can be infinitely small or infinitely large. They bond electromagnetically and use tetrahedron electromagnetic bonds to connect. Their basic shape is a hexahedron. So when you lock up a tetrahedron bond to a hexahedron, that's the strongest bond in the entire universe. And not only is it strong, it's very powerful. As you can see, they're doing it right there in front of you, or actually in front of me, because I'm the one filming. But it is evident what's happening. So I'm just gonna back off a little bit. Look at that. Look at your trees. Look. Okay. Look at your trees. As you can see, it's a lot of clusters, counterclockwise rotation, and a lot of individual clusters in a formation, and the formation is a hexahedron. But the clusters themselves are made in a form of a hexahedron. Now, they are six-sided no matter what dimension they're in. Whether they're in the third dimension or any other dimension, they're always six-sided shape. So they are interdimensional and can be in any dimension at a blink of an eye, even faster than a blink of an eye. They have the capacity to control energy and can transmute energy into matter, and then matter into energy. And they can be in the between state, which is in a form of plasma, different stages of plasma. So these entities are very gifted, to say the least. and they have apparently the technology or the natural ability to do these things. Take a look at that whole tree. What's happening? It's not just one tree. It's all of them. When you get right on top of them, you can see how many there are. There's just countless numbers of them, and they can be small enough to breathe in, or drink with water, or eat with your food. That's how small they can be. But regardless of how small they are, they have the same capacity and the capability of a large cluster, and that they are in touch with the larger portion of themselves, and they have the same energy. The energy can be transmitted into the smallest of the small clusters, so they have all the same potential as a large cluster. Being small is nothing, it's not inhibiting them because they're small. They have the same potential as a large cluster, because all they have to do is bond together, which they can do in a blink of an eye, and have a whole lot of energy and a whole lot of mass, and be as real as life in a material state right in front of your eyes. They can just manifest and be right in front of you in any shape. Any shape. They could be a monster or a person, an animal, anything, an insect, whatever they want. And they have the capacity to control electromagnetic wave patterns, and that means they can control your brain and your thoughts. Because by controlling your brain and your thoughts, then they can make you see whatever they want you to see. You have no control over what you see. Now our whole planet is totally open to these things, because they just pop in from their dimension, whatever dimension they may happen to be at the moment, and they just manifest themselves here in the third dimension. So there's no way of stopping them. Now there's absolutely no wind, but you can see that they're trying to move the whole tree out of the way by moving the branches around so that I can't film a particular point. I just saw something just pass right in front there, like a shadow. I'm going to back off. Now I only have a few more moments. The battery light is on, unfortunately. But I just want you to look at this. Just move it over. Just look at all that activity. That's happening 24/7, day and night. No stop. They just don't stop. It's happening at a very fast pace and a very fast harmonic, very high harmonic, I should say. It's a very high frequency existence. Man, it's just a tremendous amount of them all over. And you can see that they're forming rods right there. And all that activity creates a lot of energy and a lot of heat. So I'm sure they have something to do with the global warming, because look at all this energy escaping into the atmosphere. All those things moving, there has to be a consequence. They can't all be moving that fast and that many of them and nothing happening. So global warming is enlarged due to them since they're all over and there's so many. Those are supposed to be our trees. Just take a look. That's supposed to be our trees. What that is there's no trees there at all, and these are interdimensional beams making a holographic image of the trees that are in this video and in this frame that you're looking at. There are no trees. It's just them. It's just them. And they're not only on trees or making projections or images of trees. They're just everywhere, in the air, all around, and everything, and on everyone, because they're so small you can't even see them when they're on top of you. Just look at how many that is. Take a good look, because this is what's happening. I don't know why other people don't see it. I just can't believe nobody can see it. But I don't need a camera to see it. I can just see it with my naked eyes. And I just can't believe nobody else can see it. That's counterclockwise rotation in a cluster formation, which is a hexahedron. And there are many, many clusters doing the same thing, creating more energy, and thereby producing more heat, which in turn causes more global warming. There's so many of them, they don't even bother hiding anymore. They have nowhere to hide. There's so many, they're wall-to-wall organisms like that everywhere, even indoors. It's not only outdoors, this is indoors too. All you gotta do is take your camera out and point it at any wall, zoom it enough and you'll see them. This is not a trick or a magic. Anyone can do this with your own camera. And so you should try this at home. It's safe. Prove it to yourself. Don't listen to me or anyone else. Make your own experiment with your own camera that you can trust, and you'll see the same thing. And then you'll realize what I'm saying is true.